Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. To all those DevSecOps enthusiasts who asked me to make a video on end-to-end application security, this video is for you. Because in today's video, we will deep dive into one of the best application security platforms. Also the first one to introduce AI and Agentic AI into AppSec, that is Qwiet AI, formerly known as Shift Left. In today's video, we'll understand what is Qwiet AI. We'll also understand how Qwiet AI can replace bunch of tools in your AppSec toolchain or bunch of tools in your DevSecOps pipeline, because Qwiet AI can alone handle static code analysis. It can implement SAST for you. It can implement dependency tracking, SBOM, container scanning, and everything that you need with respect to application security. I also have a cool demonstration for today's video. So I have a sample Python application, which is vulnerable application. I will show you how to integrate that application with Qwiet AI and how Qwiet AI and its PreZero platform can detect the vulnerabilities at the same time, can also provide you fixes to automate or fix the vulnerabilities. This video is going to be quite interesting because it includes a demo. After watching this video, you can also try it by yourself. So make sure you watch this video till the end. Okay, so every company today understands the importance of application security. In fact, no company wants their application to be vulnerable to cyber attacks. So there are a lot of application security platforms in the market. Now, the question that you might have is, why Qwiet AI? Why should someone go for Qwiet AI? Of course, there are a lot of application security platforms, but majority of these platforms comes with three major challenges. The first challenge, which is the most important one, is false positives. Traditional application security platforms can actually report up to 90% false positives. What does that mean? Imagine you have integrated an application security platform to your toolchain and it started reporting vulnerabilities. One of your developer gets assigned to the vulnerability. Developer first understands what is the vulnerability, which takes good amount of time. Then developer tries to understand which part of the code is impacted by the vulnerability. Now, if it turns out to be false positive, that means a lot of development cycles are wasted. So the false vulnerabilities or false positives are adding new development cycles to your existing release cycle. Now, this means your release delivery is adversely impacted because developers could not get enough time to add new features, or developers could not get enough time to fix existing bugs because of these false positives. Now, the second challenge is specific area of interest. Unfortunately, majority of these AppSec platforms, they have a very specific area of interest. Some of these tools only focus on static code analysis. Some of them only focus on generating SBOM, or some of them only focus on SAST, container scanning, refactoring of the application. Now, the problem with this approach, DevSecOps engineer or anyone who is taking care of integrating application security platform, they have a steep learning. They have to understand how exactly each of these tools work, and they have to constantly upgrade these tools within their tool chain. Now, the final one is manual fixes. Again, a lot of application security platforms, they tell you which CVE impacts your code base or which CWE impacts your code base, but they don't actually tell you how to address that vulnerability, which is the most important thing. Now you understand your code base is impacted by a CVE, but if you take maybe 2 weeks of time to fix the vulnerability, then it might expose your application to a cyber security attack. Instead, if the application security platform can actually tell you these are the lines of code that you need to fix, and this is how you address the vulnerability, then things can be much better for your company. Now, these are the challenges with traditional AppSec platforms, and Qwiet AI handles them with ease. The first thing, number of false positives. Qwiet AI is 10 times better when you compare with traditional platforms. Number of false positives that you see are very, very less. Second thing, specific area of interest. Good thing is that your DevSecOps engineer don't have to learn multiple tools. They just have to understand how to integrate their application with Qwiet AI platform. Qwiet AI supports Visual Studio Code or IDE. Qwiet AI also has a CLI, and you can also operate with Qwiet AI through its user interface. So it becomes very easy for DevSecOps engineers. They can pick up anything that they like and they can go for Qwiet AI for entire application security. That is end-to-end application security. We'll talk more about what are things that are covered by Qwiet AI. They have 7 different agents, which we will learn in a while. Now, finally, manual fixes. This is the best part. So Qwiet AI actually goes ahead and tells you how to address these vulnerabilities. If you want Qwiet AI to also create a pull request, it can also do that. So it can tell you how you can better your code even with refactoring, and it can create a pull request to your existing code base. So these are the 3 major challenges, and this is how Qwiet AI address those challenges. But Abhishek, how Qwiet AI does these things internally? Now, this is where things actually get interesting. They have everything covered in their documentation. So I got a chance to understand how these things work internally. So to address these challenges, Qwiet AI came up with a platform called PreZero. As I told you, it's very interesting to understand how this platform works. Once you integrate your application with Qwiet AI, this platform creates a code property graph, or shortly known as CPG. If you're into data structures, you might already know what is a CPG. Otherwise, CPG is a graph that depicts application control flow, program dependencies, application data plane or data flow, and also complete structure of your application. You can also create a code property graph for yourself, but it takes a steep learning because you have to break down your application into nodes and you have to prepare something like this. The best part here is you don't have to do anything. All that you have to do is integrate your application with Qwiet AI and it prepares CPG for you. But why PreZero creates a CPG? It creates a CPG to understand internals of your application and to detect the vulnerabilities even before they surface. And once it prepares the CPG, once it tells you vulnerabilities into your code base, there is a feature in PreZero which is called Auto AI Fix. If you enable this feature, I'll tell you how you can do it. If you enable this feature, the proprietary Agentic AI framework, which is again developed by Qwiet AI as part of PreZero, this proprietary Agentic AI framework, through series of agents, it will address the vulnerability code for you or the code that is vulnerable. How does it do it? One CPG or PreZero through CPG identifies the vulnerability code. Then first, the threat analyst agent, which is part of the Agentic AI framework. So this try to understand what is the threat, tries to understand the impact of the threat, and then it forwards the information to the test engineer, which is again an agent, and this agent generates the test cases. Once the test cases are generated, there is a remediation engineer agent. This takes care of analyzing the test cases and also fixing of the code. Because all of these things are done through agents, you need an evaluator which tries to provide the notes to improve the code. Also, there is a senior software engineer agent which is responsible for reviewing the AI generated code and understanding if the code is good to forward or if the code is good to be published. Then you have a dependency inspector which looks at all the dependencies that are generated and the dependencies that already exist. Finally, there is a refactoring engineer agent, which is responsible for refactoring the code. If you want to make your code better, the refactoring engineer agent can actually help you. And this is how you get a secure code fix. You can understand what goes into this entire thing. They are not using a single agent. Instead, they are using an agentic AI framework. Through these series of agents, they are trying to secure your code or they are trying to address the vulnerabilities. In short, just to explain these things overall, so the PreZero platform, it prepares a code property graph. The code property graph helps the platform identify the vulnerabilities. Now, these vulnerabilities are reported to you on the platform. If you are using CLI, they are reported to you on the CLI, or you can also use Visual Studio Code or any other IDE. Now, once these vulnerabilities are reported, if you are interested, you can enable the Auto AI Fix feature, which is again part of the platform. Now, this Auto AI Fix through series of agents, through Agentic AI framework, it will secure your code or it will address your vulnerabilities. I'll put the links in the description if you want to go through all of these agents and if you want to understand how they actually build these agents and how they work together, you can follow the link in the description. Now, this is how Qwiet AI can understand the vulnerabilities and address the vulnerabilities for you. And they address all of the three challenges that we discussed earlier in the video. False positives, they are reduced significantly because of the code property graph. Specific area of interest, you can understand through the series of AI agents how they can fix different kinds of vulnerabilities. And also, you don't have to bother about manual fixes. Auto AI fix feature of Qwiet AI can actually fix the vulnerabilities for you. Now it's time to look at the demonstration. I have some sample application. I'll show you by integrating the application to the platform. Let's go ahead. So as the first step, you need an account with Qwiet AI. I'll put the link in the description. You can sign up with your GitHub or any other supported authentication methods. So once you are here, click on the application. This is where you integrate your application with Qwiet AI. I already have two demo applications that I was working on. I'll add a new application. So you can integrate your GitHub repository or any other CI/CD repositories. You can also use command line interface. Right now we are doing everything through the command line interface, but you can do the same steps through the CLI as well. Towards the end of this video, I will show you how you can use the CLI. But for now, let's proceed with GitHub repository. If you don't have application with vulnerable code, you don't have to worry. Qwiet AI has bunch of demo applications. So I'll use one of the demo applications, maybe Python demo. So what it does when it comes to demo applications, it creates a fork for you. And within the fork, it sets up a branch and also the default configuration. So let me click on See Demo App. Perfect. So we have the demo application and right now the code is being scanned. We can see the vulnerabilities are 0. Even the OSS vulnerabilities are 0. In the meanwhile, let's check the GitHub repository. So this is the one that got created. Recent pull request that got created. And within this pull request, you can see it added the default shiftleft.yaml file. So this is a file that gets added once you integrate your application with Qwiet AI. This has the basic information such as the build rules regarding your critical findings, OSS or container findings, and also OSS vulnerabilities. Let's go back. Let's see if the scanning is done. One language scanning, it's still working on it. Once the scanning is done, we should see perfect. So we can see within this demo application, there are 4 vulnerabilities which are high critical. There is one high vulnerability. There are 3 medium vulnerabilities and there are 3 low vulnerabilities. You can also see the code base here, like what is the code that you're working with. You can understand more about code if you are good with Python. There is a run.py file, and within it, there are some CSP headers. Great. Looks like a Flask application that is working on creating a simple Python application. Okay, let's go back. Let's try to read more about the vulnerabilities. Now you might understood how these vulnerabilities are identified. These are identified using the CPG graph. You can look at that in the findings tab. So if you head here and click on Qwiet, so you can focus on vulnerabilities, OSS vulnerabilities, and container findings. So these are the ones. It says there is a SQL injection vulnerability. Okay. So your code also has vulnerability regarding the remote code execution, which is in actions.py file. And look at the details that it has provided. It says you are impacted by a critical vulnerability, you are impacted by a CWE, you are impacted by a bunch of other CWEs. If I click on this, I can also clearly understand which part of code am I impacted with and what exactly is this vulnerability about. So now it talks about CWE77, which says attacker control data is used in a shell command without undergoing escaping or validation. And that is in actions.py file. Okay. Does it provide more information? Perfect. So it also says, great, when it comes to this particular vulnerability, here is the sample example of domain specific language. Now, if you want to fix this vulnerability, as I told you before, now if you observe, it talks about how to fix this vulnerability. It talks about the dependencies. It talks about imports, not only a single agent. Click on view results from other agents. You can see the results from the threat analyst agent. You can see the results from test engineer agent, how it can add the test for you. These are the test cases that it is going to add for you. It also talks about the AppSec engineer. What are the findings from this particular agent and how it can help you fix the code and improve your code. There is also a refactoring agent, but right now with the existing code, it says there is no refactoring needed. Only if it is needed, the agents will work towards enhancing your code or fixing your code. Data flow, which we talked about, the CPG helps you build this data flow and understand your application better through the CPG graph. Going back, if you're interested, you can click on create pull request, and this is going to create a pull request on the repository. We will see that. I'll click on create pull request. It's working on it. In the meanwhile, let me show you something important. You can enable AI Auto Fix not only at the entire organization level, but Qwiet AI provides you the flexibility. If you want, you can enable the auto fix at the organization level, or you can enable it at the application level, or you can enable it at the team level as well. So you have the flexibility. If you're using this with bunch of applications within your organization, bunch of teams, you can use autofix only for certain applications and certain teams. Maybe if you want to go for a manual application fix, vulnerability fix, you can disable autofix for that particular repository, or maybe for that application or team. Great. Let's see if the pull request is created. Let's go back to our app. Let's go back to the findings. Okay, let's see. Now that we see less number of findings, I hope the pull request is created. I'll head to the pull request section. Great. So we see auto fix PR. And within the auto fix PR, you can clearly see the description. So it says, this is the one that I'm going to fix, remote code execution. Great. It provides the summary of the entire thing. Qwiet AI static analysis is also being run because we integrated this repository with Qwiet AI. Let's look at the file changes. Awesome. So it added the file changes, everything that helps in fixing this vulnerability. Now, if you're interested, you can go ahead once the scanning is done or once the check is completed. And if you're good with the static code analysis check, if you're good with the build rules check, even if you have any CI/CD checks within your organization, if you're good with all of them, you can go ahead with one round of manual review. I would highly recommend that. Even Qwiet AI recommends that to have a manual review so that you can get it reviewed by a senior engineer in your organization. And once you're good with it, you can merge the pull request. But this is how Qwiet AI can help you with fixing the vulnerabilities. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the entire process. You can see how effective is the platform. You can see how it can help you with right from identifying the vulnerabilities to detecting the vulnerabilities and also to fixing of the vulnerabilities. You don't need a bunch of DevSecOps tools now, but you just need one platform, that is Shift Left or Qwiet AI. Now, saying this, can you also do this entire thing through the CLI? Definitely yes. So if you head to the documentation, you will find a section for CLI. So this is a CLI section. Install. Just like me, you can also install the CLI. So I was using Qwiet AI CLI as well. So if you just type SL, so you can see the CLI and you can see the different commands that it supports. So for that, what I've done, so I've followed this document, Linux or macOS, the ones that I'm using. So I've run this command, and once this is done, it sets up a command line called SL. I think it's a shorthand for shift left. You just have to provide the authentication token. You can get it from your settings tab on the shift left platform or the Qwiet AI platform. And using this command, you can authenticate with the platform. Then you have the command references. Let's say you want to analyze, you can run the SL analyze command. If you want to check the environment, you can do it. Or if you want to run the remediation agent, only specific to remediation, you can just use the SL remediation command. You can also use it with your Visual Studio Code. So to use it with the VS Code, you need an extension called Qwiet PreZero. This is still in the beta version, so I would recommend to use it with care. In case you don't see things as expected, understand this is still in the beta version. So install this and just like the CLI, just authenticate with the platform, and then you will see the shift leg icon on the tab, which can provide you with the findings once you start your scan. Right now, I haven't started the scan, so I don't see any findings here. But overall, you can use it with your VS Code. You can also use it through the CLI, or you can use it through the best platform that they provide. This is about Qwiet AI. If you find it interesting, give it a try with the demo application. See you all in the next video. Take care. Thank you, everyone.